The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. We have located a body that is preliminarily identified as Tristyn Bailey.
Cop car.
Yep. Tristyn.
What's up, guys?
Yep.
Tristyn, if you walk out the damn...
When you see this in a month.
From inside Fucci's home appears to show his mother cleaning the jeans police say Aiden wore the night of the murder. She's been charged for tampering with evidence to those jeans. Investigators say both the jeans and the sink she washed them in tested positive for blood.
Imagine you are a parent of 5 kids. It's Mother's Day morning and your entire household is up cooking breakfast to kick off the holiday. You notice that your youngest daughter isn't helping cook. Maybe she just overslept, right? So you decide to send one of her siblings upstairs to wake her up. But to your surprise, she's not in her bedroom. You panic and search your entire home until you come to the conclusion she's missing. Soon, this becomes the worst Mother's Day you ever thought could be possible. This is the terrifying and truly sad murder of Tristyn Bailey. Hi guys, welcome back to KW Lawholic. I'm Kayla and we're here today with a new case of a murder that is truly sad. It's one that kind of touched me. I'm doing this one because I remember actively when it happened. It happened in like a community that I'm very kind of familiar with, so it was on my radar when it actually was happening. So I wanted to cover it because it just kind of has a place in my heart and I want other people to be able to know more about it as well. So thank you for joining us. If you're new, welcome, and let's get right into the case. Tristyn was born on January 18th, 2008 to her parents, Foster and Stacy Bailey. Tristyn was born in Singapore, but she was raised in St. Johns County, Florida, and she was the youngest of 5 siblings. All of her family and friends describe her as a young, energetic girl who always stood up for her friends and family. She was outgoing, she was bubbly, and her mom says that she was just a powerful girl that gave so much to so many. Her mom liked to say that Tristyn was everyone's friend. At the time of her death, she was in 7th grade and she attended Patriot Oaks Academy in Florida. She was known to be a popular student at her school and she also was a competitive cheerleader. Normally for my cases, I don't cover the suspect's background, but for this specific case, I feel that it is necessary. The suspect is Aiden Fucci. Aiden is 14 years old and he attends Patriot Oaks Academy with Tristyn. He comes from a Christian loving family. His personality was always said to be kind of, very nonchalant and chill. His mother and grandmother described him as being a good, sweet kid for the most part, but his friends tell a much different story. On the day of the crime, it started off on March 8th, 2021. Tristyn went out to dinner with her family. She was with her mom, sister, and brother. Went out to dinner, they had a great evening, and then they went to visit her sister, her older sister, to see a new cat she had got, because Tristyn always loved animals. She loved kittens, horses. She was just an animal-loving girl. When they arrived home, her dad said that he was already kind of falling asleep at the dining room table when they all came home. We're getting ready for bed. The last thing Tristyn said to him was, "I love you, good night." And then the whole house went to bed for the night. Tristyn stayed up that night and eventually decided to sneak out and go visit one of her friends named Trey, who lived in the neighborhood. And because they lived in the same neighborhood, this was normal. This was very usual for Tristyn and Trey. They would always hang out together because, they went to the same school, they were friends, and they lived close by. That night, Trey had already had Aiden at his house because the 2 of them were also friends. It was decided that, the 3 of them would all hang out. Aiden had specifically asked Trey to, invite Tristyn over, even though they didn't really talk a lot. According to Tristyn's mom, they only had 1 class together, and their teacher said that they never spoke to each other. So while they were there, they were chilling all through the night, and then around 1 o'clock, Trey got sleepy. He wanted to go to bed, so he kicked them out. He told Aiden and Tristyn they had to leave and go back home. So that's when Aiden and Tristyn started walking back home in the night around 2 in the morning. After they left, that was the last time Aiden had contacted Trey for the night. He didn't call him when he got home, send a text, anything. So go back to the morning, the family realizes she's gone and the panic sets in. Now we get to the morning where we started. Tristyn's parents are panicking, they can't find her, and they decide to file a missing child report with the police. Police show up at Tristyn's house around 11 a.m. and they immediately decide to get in contact with Trey. Hours pass, people are always looking for her, the whole community. They have people helping, cheer team, family and friends, neighborhood, everyone's searching for Tristyn. The man who also lived in the community was out on a run, and this is hours later, still the same day, which is Mother's Day, and he makes a call to the police.
Can you tell me what's going on today? So I heard there was a missing girl. We see the whole neighborhood's been abuzz. People have been looking for her. The sheriffs have been around, helicopters flying. My wife had mentioned maybe checking in the woods over here along the end of the cul-de-sac and at the pond into the property next to us.
He reported that he found Tristyn. Unfortunately, he found her in the worst way possible. Tristyn was found dead near a pond in the neighborhood, brutally and viciously stabbed to death. All of her belongings, her phone, her money, her jewelry, everything was still at the scene. So they're like, oh, this is a homicide. It wasn't a robbery. After that time, they began to question Trey and in turn question Aiden. Trey called Aiden and was like, the police are about to be at your house because, you know, through text messages and everything and just knowledge, that's the last person Tristyn was seen with, Trey and Aiden. During that time, some way, somehow, Aiden wanted to capture the memory. He wanted to capture the moment that could, you know, be him going to prison for the rest of his life. On Snapchat, he took pictures saying like, oh, has anybody seen Tristyn? He was almost making like bragging type videos in like a anonymous kind of undertone way.
Front of the house, and they moved me into the squad car with Aiden. He was like, let's make memories. Like, you make a Snapchat memory and you save it. So we remember whenever like all this happened.
It's in a cop car, cuz. Tripping, dude. It's so right on this. Oh my god. Damn, dude, has like flashbangs and back there.
They eventually brought Aiden to the police station for actual questioning, like interrogation. Now, during that time, Aiden's stories were all over the place.
You don't want to talk to us?
I told y'all what happened, but I can't really tell y'all anymore because I don't really know what happened.
Then the police were able to obtain neighborhood surveillance footage, and they saw Aiden running away opposite directions with his shoes in his hands. He's barefoot running at 3 a.m. So it's like, what happened during that time where you're saying, oh, you know, you just went home, she did that, you did that. Story is just constantly changing. The police were able to gather so much surveillance footage. They were seeing Tristyn and Aiden leave from Trey's house, and they could follow them throughout the night on all types of Ring cameras, all types of security footage. They saw them, and then they saw a span of like a 20-minute mark. He was with her, then he wasn't. And it seemed like he was in a panic when he was alone. After he came to his final story that, you know, oh, he pushed her and then just ran home, was just walking around, his story stayed the same until his parents were brought into the room. And that's when the police were able to really get an opening in this investigation.
You know, they found this girl, right?
Where?
In our neighborhood, down our main street.
Is she good?
No,
No,
she's not.
she's dead.
Parents asked to see him, so he was placed in a room with them, and they just started, you know, asking questions.
This is very important. It's all on you right now.
What is my problem?
You were
You
the
were
last
the
one
last
with
one
her.
seen with her. So right now, it's facing you right now, son. So however you talk, you breathe, you think, then you respond.
This is very serious, Aiden. You can't act like I don't know.
When his parents were there, they weren't surprised almost that this was going on with their son. It didn't seem like this was a shock to them. They knew like he was capable of something to some extent of a crime. One example of that is that they were asking him like, oh, like the clothes you had on, like what were you wearing? And he said, oh, I was wearing blue jeans. And the police were able to get his house footage and he was wearing blue jeans. But his mom was like, oh no, like you're wearing khakis, almost a way to manipulate the police to make it seem like he had something totally different on because those jeans would prove to have Tristyn's DNA on it.
We saw your shoes were off on the camera. While your shoes off.
Because my feet were hurting. And the shoes give me blisters.
We're gonna go home and get your clothes.
What clothes?
The clothes you're wearing.
There'd be nothing on those clothes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I think ultimately what was important from that interaction with mostly his mom, was he admitted one thing. She basically asked him what he was wearing when he came home.
You wore khakis or blue jeans?
And blue jeans.
You sure it's not on them?
I think so. What?
When we looked on the camera, you were wearing khakis. right?
His parents were almost more focused on him getting away with the murder than the fact that their son actually committed a tragedy. Through more investigation, kind of showed that with Aiden, like, he was giving very short, vague answers, wasn't really answering too much. Just a lot of okays and mm-hms and yes, but not really explaining what was going on. Eventually, the police did bring in Aiden's girlfriend at the time to question her, to just get a little bit more about his personality. During conversation with the girlfriend, she explained that Aiden had a much darker and like evil side to him.
I had anger issues. He told me that he really hated getting angry. He hated doing things that he didn't mean to do when he got angry.
Have you ever seen Aiden get violent with anybody?
Yes.
Sophie knew that Aiden was deeply troubled, but she never believed that he would actually commit such a horrific act against himself or others.
He was into satanic, evil, violent type of drawings. He would do them himself. He would ask other friends to draw them for him.
Aiden told me that he had voices in his head that told him those things.
He always had a knife on him that he would say was just for protection, but he had more than one knife, to the point where he named his knives. One knife he named was called Picker, and the other one he named was called Poker. And through more conversation with the girlfriend, she explained to police that she never took Aiden seriously when he would say it, but he told her times before that he wanted to kill her and that he would grab his knife and act like he was stabbing her or act like he was gonna cut her throat. But she never really took him seriously because she said that they did have a dark humor with each other. Crucial thing that the girlfriend did explain to detectives was that Aiden told her that he had fantasies of just wanting to kill people and that she should expect him killing someone in the month. And that month was the same month of Tristyn's death. More and more investigation and warrants and just getting all the evidence against him, the police were sure that Aiden was the one that murdered Tristyn. His jeans that his mom tried so desperately to hide had Tristyn's blood on it, and she rinsed it out in the sink and they tested it with one of his knives, Poker, and it showed that that was the knife that stabbed Tristyn. Due to the brutality of this crime and the fact that Tristyn was stabbed 114 times, Aiden, at 14 years old, was being tried as an adult with a minimum of 40 years. Now, they had him arrested. He was, in prison, locked up. And it's been nearly 2 years after Tristyn's death where his trial and everything begun. During that time, Aiden and his lawyer decided to enter a guilty plea as a way to kind of get some sympathy from the judge to have a lesser sentence.
Sir, on behalf of Aiden Fucci, we enter a change of plea at this time.
Mr. Fucci, is it your desire to enter a plea of guilty to one count of first-degree murder?
Yes, sir.
The judge believes that because this murder was so terrifying, he doesn't think age had anything to do with the sentence or should control anything.
This crime had no motive. It was done for no other reason than to satisfy this defendant's internal desire to feel what it was like to kill someone. There is only one appropriate sentence in this case. Mr. Fucci, having entered a plea of guilty to the crime of first-degree murder, I adjudicate you guilty of the premeditated first-degree murder of Tristyn Bailey. I sentence you to life in prison, eligible for review of the sentence in 25 years.
The judge said that Tristyn was stabbed 114 times, and 49 of those stab wounds were defensive. That means Tristyn was fighting, like she was fighting for her life, trying to save herself and get away from Aiden. Now, during that time, while Aiden was, awaiting trial and his sentencing, he wrote a letter to Tristyn's parents. And in that letter, he does acknowledge them, but he also kind of mostly writes the letter towards his family, his parents, his loved one, his friends, his family. The one thing he does say to Aiden's parents and family is that he apologized for saying that they didn't have more time with Tristyn, not the fact that he murdered her. It was only when Aiden's grandmother took the stand that Aiden for the first time showed any emotion.
I wish I could change what happened, and we pray for you every day. I pray for you every day. I hope that you find peace somewhere, and we lost a child too.
It was a lot of conflicting emotions. When she got up on that stand, my heart hurt for her.
Is that the boy you knew?
He's not the boy that I knew. I don't know what happened. I mean, he's always been good and happy. I'm so sorry.
His grandmother was just apologizing on his behalf to Tristyn's family and just saying that she just couldn't believe it and that he was her sweet grandchild. And it's just a tragedy that all this happened. And she just was constantly apologizing. And that's when Aiden was like looking like, oh, like I might have done something that affected not just me. Now, once Tristyn's family took the stand for their victim impact statements, so heart-wrenching. Tristyn's older sister came out with the famous stone counting, where she took Tristyn's favorite color, aqua, in marbles, and dropped them inside of a container. And she did 114 marbles to represent the 114 stab wounds Tristyn had to endure.
114. This jar now holds 114 stones, one for each of the 114 stab wounds that my sister had to endure. It really almost put into perspective. I know for us, sitting there in that 2 minutes it took to drop stones, just how much she probably had to endure.
And the family at the end, with the rest of her sisters and brother, they included a white stone. And that stone that they put in was to represent what they lost, what they felt, the pain they endured from this murder of their little sister. The rest of Tristyn's family, mother, dad, they all gave very impactful statements that were the best almost in a way to honor her. Eventually, Aiden admitted that there was no motive to kill Tristyn. He just wanted to know what it felt like to take someone's life. And that's the scariest part of it all. You just did it for no reason. After all deliberation and reasoning, Judge Lee Smith decided to sentence Aiden with 25 years to life in prison, even though he's only 14. And he would get a chance of it being reviewed in 25 years. Aiden's mom, she got charged with 5 years, but she eventually decided to take a plea deal, so she only ended up spending a month in jail, and she has 5 years probation. Now, we can get to after the crime and the trial with Tristyn's family. Tristyn's family, they truly just want to feel better, and they just want that closure to know that her killer is locked up and won't see the light of day ever again. Something that stuck out to me during this whole case of Tristyn Bailey was something that her mom said. Her mom shared a memory of her and Tristyn it's one that she says is like a special place to her. She holds it very dear to her heart. And it was the weekend before at one of Tristyn's cheerleading competitions. And Tristyn decided to say, hey mom, just me and you, we can go to Disney World. Let's just have a mom-daughter day. And her mom really loved it because she said they had the best time ever. They just spent time together, got on rides, enjoyed Disney World. And she chose to spend it with her instead of her friends. And her mom says she will always be grateful for that memory. To end this off, I just want to give my condolences to Tristyn's family. And I hope that Tristyn can just rest in peace and know that she's always beloved and remembered. And I'll stick by what the family said. They'll always be the Bailey 7 and Tristyn Bailey strong. So thank you guys for listening to this next captured case. See you next time.